After my much anticipated wait to see Black Phone 2, my reaction is just it's mixed. Ultimately, yes, I do think this was a good movie, but I don't know if I'm let down by my expectations or just the way the movie went along. Something was missing. So we open the movie. My guy Finney is the man. He out in the streets whooping ass, making these fights bloody so it really sends the message like his boy Robin told him in the first movie. And I just love Finney's whole demeanor and, seeing how they look now that they're grown up. Mason Thames is probably my favorite young actor right now. Finney's my dude. He hits the ground running right where he left off, and my favorite character in the movie. Now, instead of Finney being the main character, I feel like his sister is the main character, Gwen. I can't think of what her name is, but Gwen is mostly the main character in this movie. And me being such a big fan of Mason Thames, that bugs me a little bit. Not that they took Finney all the way out the story, but Finney's my guy. I came to the theater to see Finney and the Grabber. Anyways, Gwen does a great job in this movie. Like taking nothing away from her. Gwen starts having dreams again, and she's wondering why, trying to figure out decode the messages like she did in the last one. And the movie does a lot of lore building in the first hour of this movie, like the whole hour. The Grabber is not in this movie for about an hour of the movie, which is somewhat disappointing. But the lore that they're building, the story they're telling, is still compelling, so it keeps you into it. But it is a very slow paced the way they're giving you the information. This being a sequel, and we know the characters, we come into the movie and we see all of our people from the last movie. As a sequel, I expect things to hit the ground running, but like I said, they got to do all this lore building and get to the bottom line of why Gwen is having all these dreams. So the good parts, all the performances were great, like always. While I do feel it was good and kept me engaged, I still feel it's kind of confusing. I don't know how this whole supernatural aspect works exactly. I feel like they're not doing a good job of explaining that to fully, and they're kind of changing things up as the movie goes on, and that leaves me frustrated. Like I said, the pacing took it down a lot of points for me. It takes us a long time to get to the action. I think they really do a good job with borrowing from A Nightmare on Elm Street while still making this something that's their own. If you're gonna use a concept instead of making it a reboot or a remake, I think this is the way to do it. Like you kind of sneak it in where everybody is familiar to everybody, but it's still its own thing. I feel like that's a great way to do that. But I think one of my problems with why I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to is because I am constantly comparing it as I'm watching it to Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger. Ethan Hawke does a great job. His intro to the movie is great. After we wait a fucking hour to get him, when he's finally revealed, it's really exciting, and he gets busy right away. And so I love that, and I think Ethan Hawke does a great job. He's not Freddy Krueger, but in his own right, he does a great job, and I want to see more of this villain. So the first Black Phone was very grounded. I loved that about it, and then it had a little fantastical elements with the supernatural stuff sprinkled in. With this one, and watching the trailer, I knew it was going to be kind of a Freddy Krueger, kind of borrowing the Freddy Krueger lore, but it didn't create the eerie atmosphere like a Freddy Krueger does. Now, I still like the atmosphere they create because I liked it from the first movie. But I think because it's so close to A Nightmare on Elm Street, it has me comparing the two. And for whatever reason, the Black Phone doesn't scare me at all. It's horrifying, seeing what this guy's doing to kids and how many kids he's getting away with getting rid of and stuff like that. It's very horrifying, but it doesn't spell fear like Freddy Krueger does. And if fair or not, it loses points in my book for that. I'm not a person that needs a bunch of gruesome kills or whatnot to enjoy a horror movie, but this movie has literally no kills in it. I don't think anybody dies other than the boys that are already dead. They don't they get killed off screen. They shows kind of like what happens to them. Like one is burnt, one is kind of sawed in half, and things like that. They kind of show us like how they died, but we don't see anybody get killed. I don't think at all in this movie. I would think it would be because we're dealing with a kidnapper, and we don't want to see him kill these young kids. But as the movie moves on, he's able to kind of affect the people in the real world outside of the dream, and he still doesn't kill nobody. And it's like, where's the body count? Come on, man, catch a body. Like I want the grabber to be the next big thing. They're not giving him a lot to make his case for it. He's the next big thing, and I don't know why he would have zero kills. There are multiple characters in here where they gave us enough to kind of like dislike them. Where if they got killed off, it wouldn't affect the movie in a negative way. And he just gave them a couple of fucking scratches and went about his day. And it was like, what the fuck? I do like the grand finale of how they finally deal with the grabber. My boy Finney comes in and gets his lick, and that shit was fire. But all in all, it was a lot missing, and I honestly don't think it's because of my expectations. I just think they have a good concept, but I'm hoping there's a part three so they can really put it all together and we can get a bloodbath like we should have with this. Overall, it was a solid movie, and I want it to continue. I want the franchise to continue. I like all these characters. I like all the actors and actresses. I felt like they left a lot to be desired, and I still think they are able to deliver on that in future movies. So my score for Black Phone 2 is a 6.9 out of 10, and I give it one thumb up. I think you should go see it. I think it still can be a lot of story to continue to tell in this franchise, and I hope they continue it. Let me know what you thought of Black Phone 2. If you haven't seen it, do you plan on going to see it?